everything is pretty okay. The only problem, I would say, is all about micro mechanics. If whether Pro Esports is able to play the Fanny towards their best potential. As such, ladies and gentlemen, we're going straight into the land of Dawn. Right into the mix right here and right now. It does seem like we're going to be looking at a typical mid lane priority coming in from both of these two teams. We do have got the Gatokacha as well as the Eve, who generally have very strong control in the lanes once they reach somewhere around level 2. So they should be able to, kind of clear the way from this point on better than the high loss plus the juicing combination, right? Double DOT, clears wave, super fast. It doesn't really matter at all. Just do what they can. Eve as well as Gatokacha is also that kind of situation. But in the meantime, Sa, take a look at that. Doesn't have a lot of HP to kind of work with. It will expend that flicker just to get himself away from the lantern from Akira. Down in the bottom lane, Lapu Lapu will always have a worse lane priority as compared to the Yuzhong. Yuzhong always have very strong lane priority against Lapu Lapu. In fact, Lapu Lapu will start to go a little bit more when it comes down to being at level 4, but it's still not really able to do anything against the Yuzhong. Yuzhong will forever be able to get himself a priority, and what Lapu wants to do, clear waves fast, get himself out of the lanes, head himself over to the mid lane, or prepare for upcoming objective battles from that point on. Now for gold lane, Harif, strong lane prio. Going up against a Moskov, no matter what, with the Synchro Vision, you'll always be able to outpoke your opponents. So lane prio coming in from Pro Esports is always going to be on top. So I do want to see from this point on how they kind of want to work their way. Now Kozen is having a little bit difficulty up in the top lane. It's not that big of a deal per se, but he would eventually get his point across. With Shadow putting himself, Bravest Warriors down onto the D7. He had to pop the Revitalize. The Great Dragon form is just going to be popping out, just going to be putting himself right in the face of Kane. But it's not going to go into the Dragonoid form just yet. With a flicker coming from the side of Shadow, picks up a kill on the D7, opens up the RW and will be boxing 2% right within of the boxes. Doesn't seem like it's going to be stopping PP at this point in time though. But Storian Felix finds himself taken down with the SOD that is not gonna land. That's 2-for-1 trade in favor for See You Soon. See You Soon with a great early start, and they need to capitalize on this early start in order to win against Pro Esports. Because Pro Esports, they are strong late game machines. They can hold out. They can generally just hold out very well. So as long as they are able to kind of do that kind of situation and that kind of thing, they're generally going to be completely fine. Kozen himself is able to do a lot of damage over to PP just from the single Zaman Force, so you more or less have a good idea how much damage Kozen can bring onto the board if Pro Esports try to put themselves over to the side lane to realistically be able to deal with Donut. But we're talking about Donut here, okay? We're talking about Donut. It's not gonna go down that easily. His micro mechanics when it comes down to playing as a Moskov. Perhaps we'll see a little bit more about from Donut in the future, especially when it comes down to this playoff. But right now we got Azu putting himself right into the face of Kane, 1v1 only to take a pot shot. The SOD is not gonna hit anyone because that's your own ally. But regardless, 3-1. See You Soon put himself with a pretty good lead ahead. D7 trying to go forward. The taunt, it's not gonna land on the PP, but it's just constantly having all these poking outs over to the side of Hylos. He's not gonna care so much actually. I do find it very disappointing that the fact that the Fanny did not get any momentum or any form of ramp going up for the first 4 minutes of the game. In fact, I think that the ramp part of the Fanny is more or less gone. You can't really ramp from this point on. You can only try to play catch up and kind of catch up against Kane. Kane is currently at level 8 and Aizu is only at level 7. So you are in a really tough spot. You don't have much kills, you don't have to do much. We have a first item coming in for the side of Fanny with the Blade of the Heptases. That will allow the Fanny to solo kill the Moskov, as well as possibly the Yusuchi. But that is only if they are tickled down to maybe like 3/4 of a HP. We also do have got the scythe that is coming out from the side of Kane when it comes down to the Hunter Strike. So that We got D7 getting himself with the AOG out of the game and out of the fight. Azu just going to be hovering around the turtle's pit, but however, he does have half of the energy to work with. PP doesn't have a lot of HP to work with. Kane gets himself a quick dash right out, gets a kill down on the Sorry I'm Felix, and that's a big win for the side of CU Soon. They're preparing themselves for a big upcoming fight and trying to push the rest of Pro Esports away. And understandably, Azu, he does not have got the level advantage. He's almost at level 8 though, but Kane is at level 9, so you can't win in this 50-50 fight in terms of retribution. D7 takes an L, and that is going to be another kill that's going to be credited over to Kane. He takes the turtle down. Shadow pushes the rest from the side of Pro Esports away, and that is a very early game dominance from the side of CU Soon. We have a total of 3,000 gold lead already, and that's big. The Fanny has got no ramp, so early game, we actually don't have anything that the Fanny can do. You have three targets, but can't seem to touch any of these 3 targets actually. So that is rough. That is actually really rough. Honestly, sometimes I don't even say I wouldn't even say that. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that the Juicin is a target because she's kind of slippery, a little bit tough to kind of work with. She does have an ultimate that allows her to kind of blink away from any possible bad spots. You know, kind of blink over the wall, puts a half break over to the Fanny. So we'll say the same thing about Donut and Kate, right? So regardless, I think that Fanny will have a very tough nutcracker in this game. With no ramp possible for this upcoming game, they will need to play slow. They need to play towards the later stages of the game, and that is kind of exactly what they will want to do from the Harriet anyways. But mid-game power spike, we'll need to talk about that. The mid-game power spike is coming from Sorry I'm Felix as well as Azu. Azu is a tad bit behind already, so when it comes down to the mid-game power spike from Azu, I think he will realistically be able to come online somewhere around 9 to 10 minutes, and that is the point in time where PP or perhaps Shadow, because that is not their target, right? That is not Azu's target. So generally, just 2 items is required for the Fanny to be able to realistically kill Kane, Akira, or perhaps Donut, because they won't buy any form of defense mechanisms at this early on the point. So that is not going to bring down the power of Azu at any point in time. 2 kills, you need that. Or rather, 2 items, you need that. Pro Esports open things up. RWM locking on Akira, but Kane will still be able to take down the turtle, and that's not a fight that Pro Esports want to put themselves into, unfortunately. So Sorry I'm Felix will go down the 3rd time in a row. And Kane opens up when it comes down to the Mounted Shocker, and Akira, a very aggressive ultimate right into the face of the opponents, while the Purify is going to be used from the side of Kozen. The rest of the members from the side of CU Soon with the Mounted Shocker just going to be slamming right underneath the turret's nose. It's going to put Pro Esports in such a tough spot, with T1 turrets all destroyed in the top, middle, and bottom lane. So far, for Sorry I'm Felix, he hasn't exactly been zoning too much. In fact, as Sursbat has said in the chat, he's not really zoning. In fact, when it comes down to him in the Black Dragon form, he actually overcommits himself every now and then and puts himself in a really tough spot. But I can understand because he's the initiator. He doesn't have the lockdown that he really needs as the initiator, so that's a tough point in time to really play and open things up for D7. So we'll see. Oh, what is that? 3-man AOG along with a lockdown coming from the side of RWM. All of them immobilized at the same spot. However, they don't have the follow-up damage that will be able to bring these 3 members down. That was a very good wombo combo from the RWM plus AOG. Great timing as well. However, they don't have the damage. They don't have the damage because this is not 10 minutes point. This is not the 10 minutes mark, exactly as I mentioned. That is the power spike of Azu. And for the side of Sorry I'm Felix, I would like to believe that because he's behind, he's not going to be finishing the Hunter Strike at any point. So he's just going to have the Fury Hammer into the Bloodlust Axe. So at this point, probably only the Bloodlust Axe. And if D7 do have the Dom Eyes already, Sorry I'm Felix is not going to one-shot and go straight into the Dom Eyes. He's probably going to be looking at some other stuff such as the Queen's Wings, for example. But there we go. The obscene amount of damage that CU Soon is able to neutralize over to the side of Pro Esports. getting themselves 2 turrets already in the top lane and the bottom lane. So time and time again, this is a point in time where they, Pro Esports, they don't have a very strong comeback mechanic. Not at all, right? Because when it comes down to the lockdown wombo combo, D7 and SAR, they have the lockdown that they need. However, they're not getting the value out of that because they don't have the payoff. They enable themselves, or rather, they do have enabling factors to be able to lock people down, but they are unable to get the payoff that they need. Once I lock down, what's the payoff? The payoff is to be able to do enough damage. But they don't have that. Or rather, it's not really payoff, as a matter of fact. It is actually more of an enhances. They need to be able to enhance some of these lockdown situations. And once they are able to lock them down, then payoff, you get a kill, you get a farm, and everything happens afterwards. Okay, that's dirty! Akira gets himself the turret down in the middle lane, and of course, when it comes down to Shadow, he's just going to be zoning D7 out. Exactly what we will want out of an XP laner. With the Lord is just going to be trampling down over from the top lane, preparing to just pillage everything that Pro Esports have got for themselves. This is gonna be rough because Donut is dealing so much damage over to the turret in the in T2. RWM plus the AOG combination is gonna be coming out once again, but it's not gonna do too much. 3 men started coming in from the side of Shadow. Great play. All 5 men for the side of Houston is still available. One in fact, Soren Felix is already gonna be locked down in the countdown timer. Top lane, middle lane, this is all gonna be completely whittled down. Barren wasteland from the side of Pro Esports Azu. No damage. Soren Felix has just been not be able to do too much as the initiator. All the damage that Pro Esports will want to bring out, they can't do anything. But finally, Pro Esports gets themselves a single kill. That's Coles, and then managed to get the reward from that. And in fact, double kill onto the side of Donut. Do we have bounty on any one of them? No. No bounty. So that is not going to do anything, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that's not going to do anything, as a matter of fact, when it comes down to getting a ramp in terms of gold. It's going to help, but not good enough. Absolutely not good enough. They need more farm. They need to be able to get some of these bounty, and Kane is the one that has a lot of that bounty. So until the point in time where Pro Esports is able to get a bounty kill off of Kane, then and only then, there is a possibility for them to be able to fight back and drag the game to 15-16 minutes. But it's kind of hard because now we're just going to be opening things up when it comes down to the red carpet. There's a quick little knock-up coming in when it comes down to Lantern Flare. They're hoping to be able to get a kill down at D7, and in fact, they will be able to with the RWM. They will be locking the rest of the members to the side of CU soon right into the box, hopefully to be able to keep the players alive. However, Soren Felix will take another L to his name. There's 2 men down with 15 seconds left on the clock until the Lord eventually spawns. So Season don't even don't have a need to actually rush the lanes down. It's already been pushing in. They have defenders. In fact, very strong defenders, right? Sar, Azu, as well as Kosen, they all can defend very well. So might as well just go for the Lord, which is exactly what they're going to be doing here, and try to get themselves a more guaranteed win con. Oh, Azu! Been caught out! Just like that! And that is going to be a cycle. It's a huge cycling from the side of Pro Esports. In fact, there could be a possibility that they're going to cycle even more. But it's okay. AOG from D7 gets himself right out of dodge. And see you soon waits for the impending doom of Pro Esports through the Marching Lord down in the middle lane. Damn. This is indeed Jungle Div. Yeah. This game is Jungle Div, as mentioned by Ekinamada. Azu was not able to do anything in this game, and I don't blame him. It's just anything. As long as he's not able to get a very good ramp in the early stages of the game, there's not much that you can do. The Lantern Flare connects down onto D7, rushing it off, and that is already going to be another person down. So we are looking at a little bit of comeback coming from the side of Pro Esports. 2 men down, 3 men down. It's a 3-4-2 at this point in time. And now Akira is going to go down to Azu. 4 men down already. And see you soon now. Damn, they were unable to end the game right there and then. Colson managed to pick up the items that he needs, and in fact, he did manage to get the ramp that he needs with the Holy Crystal, Feather of Heaven, Salim Scythe, as well as, let's not forget, that Glaive, the Divine Glaive. Needs 2 more of the wand to be able to build up over to the Bloodwigs, and that is going to make Kozan even more slippery and a lot more difficult to take down. So, Pro Esports, they managed to drag it on. They managed to drag it on. And we are at the 15 mark. Kozan has gotten the farm that he absolutely needed. He can play. So through this, what is Sorry I'm Felix doing? I'm so sorry, but what is Sorry I'm Felix doing? Zoning out the Lord is not what I would expect from a Yuzhong, to be fairly honest. But for now, he's just gonna go for a little swirly twirl right down the donut. Wasn't able to do too much, as now he does not have Furious Dive. He's not gonna do anything, probably leaving the Furious Dive for escape, only to find himself taken down again. What's going on with Sorry I'm Felix? Something's really wrong with Sorry I'm Felix. It's not like that in an international tournament that I've seen him in. Oh, damn. So it's a 2-for-3 trade, right? Left with Kozan as well as Azu, still damage dealers and still be able to clear waves fast. So Soon can't exactly rush down the lanes or anything. They have to wait again. Without doubt, they have to wait again. Azu manages to take the purple buff. That's great. Honestly, the goal earned is not too surprising from the Kayn as well as Kozan. But with a double marksman from the side of Kayn as well as Donut, this makes things still a lot more difficult, right? Double marksman versus a single marksman, and Pro Esports does not have another insurance policy that can go head-to-head or perhaps even tally up against Sigurd at any point in time. So, we'll see how that goes. As Pro Esports now marks the point in their own jungle, as they continue to slowly set themselves off. That is going to be the Mono Shocker landing on the Kozan. SOD is not going to land. Well, the RWM as well as the AOG is going to be locking down on Akira. Sorry I'm Felix just going to be flying himself right into the face of Donut with a Furious Dive plus Petrify combo. He did manage to do a decent amount over to the side of Donut. So this is almost, there we go, a kill from the side of Azu. One of the win con from the side of Soon has already been taken down. The comeback from Pro Esports is happening. It is happening. Damn. Now the late game of Hylos is starting to creep in, right? With not much that a Hylos is realistically be able to do, is having a really tough time to do any form of control or perhaps do anything. It's just a massive punching bag. As such, the AOG lands and PP goes down to the hands of Kozan. Kayn was hoping to be able to do a little bit more! Sa takes him down! Akira! It's gonna be the next one onto the chopping block, and Kozan! With a triple, Sa picks a double! 5-man knockout! See you soon! They had the game! They had the initiative, they had the early start! They broke down with a Barrel Wasteland over Style Pro Esports, and they lose at 18 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh, the turning point. You gotta have to say the turning point has got to be, without a doubt, the double kill they picked up from the side of Kozan. And that was when they lost.